Brunei is a tiny country in Asia, covering less than 6,000 square kilometers and home to around 450,000 people. Despite its small size, Brunei teaches us a lot about its unique economic system. It operates as a welfare state, where the government takes care of almost everything, including healthcare, education from elementary to university, and subsidized housing. How? What actions is the government taking to strengthen its position? Let's find out in today's video. The most interesting part of Brunei is that people in Brunei don't have to pay taxes due to the success of the petroleum and national gas industry. Even though it might seem great to discover oil in a developing country, it can also bring challenges. Many oil-rich countries, like Brunei, face issues like slow growth in non-resource sectors, less democracy, and poorer development outcomes compared to countries with fewer natural resources. These countries find it tough to diversify their economies, and the sudden wealth from oil often leads to wasteful spending. This combination of problems is known as the resource curse. It's like winning the lottery. Having abundant natural resources can bring both benefits and difficulties. But people struggle to handle their newfound wealth. This also happens to countries. Brunei's main money comes from selling oil and natural gas. They're pretty good at it, being the fourth biggest oil maker in Southeast Asia and the ninth biggest seller of liquid natural gas worldwide. Though the government is trying to do other things to make money, they've made some progress. But even with that progress, 62% of Brunei's money comes from selling oil and gas, and 90% of the stuff they sell to other countries is oil and gas. Unlike some other places like Indonesia, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates, Brunei still relies a lot on oil and gas. People are worried because the amount of oil they can get is going down, and it's unclear how they're using the money they get from it. What's really concerning is that Brunei's oil and gas might run out in just 27 years. Right now, Brunei doesn't need to get money from taxing its people because they make enough from selling oil. This made it possible for them to create a welfare state where the government takes care of most things for the people, and they don't have to pay taxes. Even though not paying taxes sounds good, there can be some problems. When people pay taxes, it creates a kind of deal between the government and the citizens. But in Brunei and other oil-rich countries, there's a problem: a participation deficit. This means there's not much connection between the government and the people. It messes up the idea of everyone owning public resources and leads to people not getting involved in how the country is run. In countries with a lot of oil, there's a big problem. The OECD says that having good tax systems helps the government and its people. But in oil-rich countries, the government doesn't get much money from taxing citizens, so it's not as accountable. Unlike non-oil economies, there's a lack of a solid financial agreement in oil-rich places. The Center for Global Development did some research, and they found that countries swimming in oil money usually struggle with managing their finances. Put it in simple words, places like the Persian Gulf tend to spend their cash on flashy projects without clear reasons. Take Brunei, for instance. They stash a significant chunk of their oil money in a fund named the Brunei Investment Agency, and right now it's sitting at a whopping $170 billion. They don't really tell much about where they put their money or how well they've done in the past. This has made economists create models to fill in this gap. One example is the Oil to Cash initiative. The idea is to make sure the government shares the money it makes from selling oil with its people. This way, the government would regularly give a portion of the money it gets from natural resources to citizens in a clear and open way. This money would be like regular income and would be taxed just like any other income. This would make the government collect taxes and be more accountable to the public. It has worked in Alaska, where the government set up a fund using some of the state's oil money to invest in different things for the benefit of future generations. The money earned from these investments is used to make the fund even bigger, and right now, it's worth more than $54 billion. Unlike Brunei's investment agency, Alaska's permanent fund shares details about its investments on their website for everyone to check. It seems unlikely that Alaska will make its own version of The Line anytime soon. The Alaska Permanent Fund Division gives some of the earnings to eligible people in Alaska every year as a dividend. Also, you have to tell the government about this money when you do your taxes. In 2022, the dividend amount was $3,284. This fund helps Alaska keep money flowing in, especially since it mainly relies on resources that won't last forever. It's not just about the fund, though. For any country rich in oil, like Brunei, It's smart to spread out and invest in different industries. Brunei is already working on this by encouraging foreign investment, with good transportation and stable politics. But to really make it work, they need to match people's education and skills with what these industries need. Having a young population could really boost these efforts. Alaska is making strides in boosting its renewable revenue, but Brunei is grappling with economic diversification challenges due to its heavy reliance on oil. In 2021, youth unemployment in Brunei stood at 23.4%, raising concerns about the future workforce. The emphasis on securing prestigious government jobs is impeding entrepreneurial initiatives, creating a barrier to the much-needed economic diversification efforts in the country. While Alaska moves forward in embracing renewable resources, Brunei faces hurdles that stem from its oil-centric economy, particularly affecting the aspirations and opportunities of its younger population. A recent study found that 67.2% of young people in Brunei prefer working for the government. This strong interest in public sector jobs may hinder economic diversity, as talented individuals become civil servants instead of starting small businesses. It's crucial for Brunei to encourage entrepreneurship among the youth to strengthen the economy and generate non-oil and gas income. Considering that today's young generation will become future leaders when oil reserves run out, policies promoting youth entrepreneurship are vital for economic diversification. To achieve this, Brunei can learn from Norway, which successfully transformed its economy by prioritizing education and reducing a dependence on oil. Unlike Norway, Brunei faced challenges in developing its economy after the discovery of oil, emphasizing the need for changes in education and labor market policies to break away from a rentier mentality. Norway places a strong emphasis on developing entrepreneurial and vocational skills, especially in engineering, science, technology, and mathematics. Entrepreneurship is highly valued in Norway for its economic impact, creating jobs, fostering innovation, and enhancing competitiveness. In the country's public school curriculum, there are dedicated programs to teach and nurture entrepreneurship. Many students in Norway prefer being self-employed, benefiting from excellent working conditions, salaries, and job security. Brunei, sitting at a GDP of $14 billion, is dealing with its fair share of hurdles. Despite having a steady political scene and an open-door policy for foreign investments, there's a catch. The country heavily relies on oil and gas, making up a whopping 62% of its GDP and a staggering 90% of its total exports. But the future is a bit uncertain for Brunei. Why? Well, their oil and gas reserves are running on empty. This looming issue puts a dent in their economic stability and diversity, especially when compared to a country like Norway. Speaking of comparisons, Norway seems to have a more diverse economic landscape. Brunei, on the other hand, is facing the challenge of putting too many eggs in the oil and gas basket. So if we were to rate Brunei's economic situation on a scale of 1 to 10, it lands at a modest 3.8. This score shines a light on the economic struggles Brunei is dealing with, emphasizing the urgent need for some diversification magic.